Okay, good evening, everyone. Because I had a different work schedule today, my weekend has officially started, so you won't see me. Well, you won't see me back at work until Saturday. Um, I had some people comment both on YouTube and on other social media about the theory I had on Fantastic Beasts and where to find them about Newt Scamander being autistic. So I'm going to go into that a little bit more so I can just clarify exactly what I'm thinking on the subject. First off, when I say autistic or anything in that spectrum, I mean the alternate brain programming that is autistic. It's not autism like it's some disease that needs to be cured, or it's just some brain thing that if you have the right diet, if you take the right drugs or support the right charity, it'll get fixed. I mean autistic as an alternate computer program for the brain. You and I, we're normal folks, we run PC or Mac, they're running Ubuntu. And so instead of freaking out because they can't play iTunes, let's just work together so we can all play the same music. Possible. That having been said, if you think that way too, that's not some disease that needs to be cured. Do not support Autism Speaks. Ever. Because at best, they're a greedy corporation under the guise of a charity, and the person in charge is one of the top 10 wealthiest CEOs in the country. That she makes more money than will ever go to research or resources for those who are autistic. In fact, the money that actually goes to research and resources is trumped by how much they spend on catering for their events. If you want a place to support those who are autistic and to finding a lifestyle that allows some level of interaction and safe and understanding interaction with the rest of the neurotypical, go to the Autism Self-Advocacy Network, ASAN. That's run by autistic people. Almost all of their money goes to autistic resources, and they don't dog train, which is the majority of what ABA therapy is. So with that rant out of the way, here's more reasons why I think Newt Scamander is autistic. Right from the very get-go, he has trouble with eye contact. He's always just looking off to the side, looking away, making things a little bit more awkward than they need to be, and that is one of the truest characteristics of an autistic person, is they won't make eye contact. That is trapping for them. It's a very anxious situation when they have to make eye contact. They won't do that at all. So he won't make eye contact. Most of the time he doesn't. Second is he's awkward. Now, all of us are awkward at some stage in our life, but he's characteristically awkward in that he's overly blunt about subjects. You can see it even from the trailer when he's handing Jacob Kowalski all that old school football gear because his body is prone to trauma or susceptible to trauma. That kind of logic, where it's simply, that's why. There's no sense of compassion towards other people for the majority of the film, except at the very end, which is a spoiler, and I'm not going to reveal that one. But you see all of his compassion and empathy towards animals, which is another factor. You even see it nowadays. One of the many symptoms that can denote an autistic person is having more empathy for animals. Cats in particular, which in my experience with autistic people has been very true. And the hard part about the autistic community is there's no set list of like a formula where you can say, yep, this person's autistic. It's here's a long list of possible symptoms, and if you have a certain number of them, then you're on that spectrum. And which is why some people will self-diagnose, accurately so or inaccurately so. It's there's another difficult part. Some people choose not to for work reasons or for social reasons. Once something's on a public record, that can make it harder to adopt, be a foster parent. There are certain jobs where they're allowed that information, and that can make it difficult. Probably one of the reasons why Newt Scamander turned towards caring for these animals. So, overly blunt, awkward around people, affinity for animals, empathy with animals. I had a list, I just can't find it. It was on a scrap piece of paper and it just disappeared. But he has a special interest. That is the heart and soul of who he is, which is true. Both of Autistic's and of Newt Scamander. He loves animals. When he does, there's a whole scene where you see him just come into his element, and everyone has to acknowledge that he knows what he's doing and that he is a very powerful person to interact with. And that's natural. And then when he's, again, interacting with people, having to do stuff with anything that's not his special interest, it becomes awkward again. He's giving the logic that's purely empirical without any sense of empathy or compassion. So from there, what does this mean as far as he's autistic, so what? This should, I hope, not turn into a huge clarion call, like other things have been in the past. Because there are a lot of people that'll see a fan theory, like what I just professed, and then turn it into try to make it a huge movement and end up just crying wolf for their organization. I'm not autistic, but I believe everyone should be given that chance to interact with people and not have that held against them. And if we can learn to accept autistic people, then there's hope for the other awkward people. Which I am awkward, asking my coworkers. But what I hope this does is lets us stop and think when someone's doing something we don't understand. Because Newt Scamander was full of that. Throughout the entire movie, he was consistently doing things people didn't understand. And the only people who became friends with him, who got to see him and his special interest in that element, were the ones who said that he's a bigger person than that awkward action. I can deal with an awkward action if I can see the rest of the person, or more of the person, because the rest of the person's an impossibility, I believe. So, my theory is Newt Scamander is autistic. And that's great. I would love if J.K. Rowling, gotta get that right one of these days, could open her canon a bit more, because she has established a great big wide world full of everything. She just hasn't talked about it yet. But she's had a lot of ideas brought to her, both from her fans and from the media, about what this could mean, what that could mean, what about this, that, and the other. And while the Harry Potter series was in its heyday, she was kind of tight-lipped about fan theories and headcanon and everything like that. But she'd be forced. I'd say Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them practically forces her to accept a bigger canon than what she has written, because she's successfully written something that's bigger than she is. If she were to focus the rest of her life on the Harry Potter world, Not Harry Potter, the Harry Potter world, she could not encapsulate everything that can occur therein. Um, what she can do is allow us to imagine, support the dreamers in her world. If she does that, then she will leave an impact on this world bigger than Pratchett, bigger than Stephen King, bigger than any other author you can imagine, save the writers of scriptural text. That's my belief and my thought. Let me know what you think in the comments. Tell me about what you loved about Fantastic Beasts and where to find them, your own fan theories, or what you would like to see done in the future with this series. Alright, that's it for me.